All right, today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials and special cases of notes part 1. So I've got some steps over here. I don't know why they're all 1, 1, and 1, but I believe those are typos. Goodness. Okay, so we know that a trinomial is 3 terms. So the process is on the left, the example is on the right. Let's read the process. Number 1. Multiply the a term and the c term together and place it at the top of the x. So a times c. So on number 1, a is 1, c is 18. So 1 times 18 is 18. So that's number 1. Step 2 is place the b term at the bottom of the x. So notice the b term is in the middle next to x, and in our case, our b term is 11. So none of our letters go with the numbers, only the numbers. So no x's are inside of our x. Step 3, find the 2 factors of a times c that will multiply to give you ac, and when added, the factors will give you b. So what that means is, what numbers multiply to give me 18 and add to give me 11? So that's what we're trying to figure out. What 2 factors multiply to 18 but add to 11? So in order to do that, your little hint says type y equals 18 divided by x. So I said y equals a times c. We already know that a times c is 18. We would type in 18 divided by x, change it to a table, like so. And these are all the factors that multiply to 18. You just need to decide which factors add to 11. So those add to negative 11, those add to negative 19. So we don't want anything with a negative. So it's not those. That's undefined. Okay, now the bottom are all positives. 1 times 18 is 18, and 1 plus 18 is 19. That's too big. 2 plus 9 is 11, and there we have it. So the 2 factors are 2 and 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 plus 9 is 11. So we have found our factors. So our answers are x plus 2 times x plus 9. To double check our work that these are the binomial factors, remember bi means 2. There's 2 terms in each of these parentheses, binomials. We just substitute in the original equation. This was the original equation, and I use the y equals. Substitute in now your answers, your 2 binomial factors. And on the graph, it looks like there's only one graph, but it's really number 1 and number 2 match up. When they match up, you know you have factored it correctly. On over this side, when they don't match up, that means that the 2 factors that we got here don't match up, okay? So their graphs won't match up if those 2 are not factors of each other. Okay, so let's start our process. Number 1, our a is 1, so 1 times 20 is 20. Okay, 1 times 20 goes here. That's multiply. And 12 is our B value. So now you're going to ask yourself, what multiplies to 20 and also adds to 12? So that's what we're going to check. And how we do that, we type in y equals 20 divided by x. It's going to give us a funky graph, but we don't worry about that. We go to the little thingy, we click on table, and here it is. None of these factors are going to work because those give me negative answers. So let's start with the positives. I know that 1 plus 20 is 21. Here it is. 2 and 10 make 12. So then on this page, I can now write 2 and 10. So my answer is x plus 2 and x plus 10. I like to circle my answer like so, make it pop off the page. Then to check your work, you're just going to type in the original question. X squared plus 12x plus 20. And we have x plus 2 times x plus 10. Guys, look right here. If black and blue match up, we know we got it right. Let's talk about example 2. Now our A value is 1. Our C value is 20. 1 times 20 again is 20. Our B value is -9. So the question is, what multiplies to 20 and adds to -9? That's our goal. So we will type in y equals 20 divided by x. I will click on that thing. I will turn it into a table. I want to get a -9. So if I'm thinking about it, 2 and 10 make a positive. 1 and 20 make a positive. So I need to be looking at the ones that have negatives. Now, -1 and -20 make -21. That's too big. -2 and -10 add a -12. Still a little bit, or not too big, I mean too small. So now what you have to do is come down here and do -3. Well, -3 is a decimal. That doesn't work. Do -4. Aha. -4 and -5. When I add those, -4 plus -5 give me -9. So now I know the two numbers are -4 and -5. So my answer, I have to factor this, is x minus 4 times x minus 5. This is my answer. We want to check it on Desmos. To check your work, you type in the original question. Okay, and we type in the expression that we got for the factors. And notice red and black overlap. So now we can say we have checked it on Desmos and it does match the graphs. Okay, let's do number 3. We have x squared minus 5x minus 24. Again, your A is 1. 1 times -24 is negative 24. My B value is negative 5. So the question is, what multiplies to negative 24 and adds to negative 5? So we will type in y equals, your A times C is negative 24 divided by x. Turn that into a table. And here we go. I can use this to add negative 2 plus 12. That's a positive 10. So that doesn't work. Let's do the next one. Negative 1 plus 24. That's a positive 23. That doesn't work. Okay, let's do 2 plus negative 12. Negative 10. That doesn't work. I'm trying to get a negative 5. So let's try 3. And let's do that. 3 plus negative 8. There it is. It's negative 5. So 3 and negative 8 are the two factors. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And 3 plus negative 8 is negative 5. So your answer is x plus 3, x minus 8. Now, in order to check it on Desmos, we would type in the question is x squared. 1 minute, x squared minus 5x minus 24 gives us that graph. X plus 3 times x minus 8 gives us the same graph. Blue and black overlap. We've checked it on Desmos, we got it right. All right, let's see what we can do for number 4. We have 1x squared times negative 30. 1 times negative 30 is negative 30. Let's zoom in. Now the B value is 7. So the question is, what multiplies to negative 30 and adds to 7? That's what we have to find out. So y equals negative 30 divided by x, change it to a table. When I add the number straight across, I'm looking for a positive. So these two right here would give me a negative. Let's try these two up here. Negative 2 plus 15. That gives me a 13. Too big. So now what we need to do, I am on my computer. Do you know where your socks are? Yeah. Do you know how to get them by yourself? Yes. Can you go do that by yourself? Yes. Thank you. I'm working. Thank you. Are you on Zoom? I am. Thank you. Are you on Zoom? Nobody. Thank you. Stop coming out of your room and bothering me. Okay, okay. Okay, so because that was too big, I'm now going to put negative 3 in the next box. Negative 3 and 10. I think we found our winner. Negative 3 plus 10 is positive 7. So over here, we will put that the two factors are negative 3 and 10. So the answer is x minus 3 and x plus 10. Then we just substitute those over here into Desmos. Type in your original question. Type in your binomial factors. Make sure that the two graphs overlap, and they do. Checked it on Desmos. Okay, now let's do example 5. Example 5 looks a little different. It's missing something. It's missing the B term. It's missing the B term. So 1 times negative 64 is negative 64. And the B term is 0. Okay, so negative 64 divided by x. Change that to a decimal, or excuse me, a table. And I'm looking for two numbers that add to 0. Let's go to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There it is. 8 and negative 8. Those add to 0. So over here, 8 and negative 8. 8 times negative 8 makes negative 64. 8 plus negative 8 makes 0. So our answer is x plus 8 times x minus 8. And all we have to do to check that on Desmos, type in x squared minus 64 and x plus 8, x minus 8. And the order doesn't matter as long as you put one of them first, one of them second. Order doesn't matter. So it checks out. All right, let's look at this one. Starting with our first step, 1 times 25 is 25. Our B value is 10. What multiplies to 25 and adds to 10? That's our question. What multiplies to 25 and adds to 10? That's our question. So I need positives. So does 3 work? No, that's a decimal. Does 4? Still a decimal. Does 5? 5 times 5 is 25. 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, so we've got x plus 5. The other factor is x plus 5. Now, since these are identical, what you're going to see when you have identical factors is you can write them with a exponent, like that. There are 2 parentheses of the same terms, x plus 5 times x plus 5. So that is how we're going to write our final answer. And we can prove it. First, we type in the original question. And then we type in the answer that we got. And those do match up. The green overlaps the blue. Checked on Desmos. Okay, now example 5 is called the difference of perfect squares. You guys know that 8 times 8 is 64. That's a perfect square. 64 is a perfect square. X squared is a perfect square. So the difference of perfect squares will always break up as x plus 8, x minus 8. One's plus, one's minus. That's the only way to add the 0. This actually is called a perfect square trinomial. And it's called a perfect square trinomial because 25 is a perfect square. 5 times 5 is 25. That's a perfect square. So these are the special cases. Let's look at example 7. This is another perfect square trinomial. And the reason why it's perfect is because of 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, so if you know perfect squares, I know that 1 times 49 is 49. The middle B term is 14. And since you know that it's a perfect square, I know that what makes 49 is 7 times 7. Since it's 7 times 7, that adds the 14 and that multiplies 49. I can rewrite my binomial factors and then write it as one term squared. All right, so x squared plus 14x plus 49, and then x plus 7 squared, and they match. Black and blue overlap. Okay, I don't know why example 8 got repeated. I think that's a typo. Okay, in example 9, this is not a perfect square because 12 is not a perfect square. So we'll go back to the way we were doing it a minute ago. 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. The b value is 1. So our question is, what multiplies to negative 12 and adds to 1? That's what we're going to figure out. So negative 12 divided by x, change it to a table. I'm looking for two numbers that add to positive 1. So if you don't see it in the table, you just keep going. So after 1 and 2 comes 3. And 3 and negative 4, those are close. That adds to negative 1. So what happens if you get the opposite of this over here? You just switch it. That's all you got to do is switch it. So instead of a 3, put a negative 3. And then a negative 3 plus 4 is a positive 1. So if you get the b value right here, but you got it in the wrong sign, then you switch the signs. So our answer is negative 3, positive 4, x minus 3 times x plus 4. And moving on to example, whatever this is, 10. Okay. So I've got 1 times 12 is 12, but this time the b value is negative 8. So the question still says is what multiplies to 12 and adds to negative 8? That's the question. So you'll type in 12 divided by x, change it to a table. We're looking for two numbers that add to negative 8. So down at the bottom of this table, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, those are all positives. So we'll never get a negative answer with positive numbers. So we need to go the other way. And I want to say I see it right here. Negative 2 plus negative 4, or excuse me, negative 6 does make negative 8. So we have found our answers, negative 2 and negative 6, and you put them back in the parentheses with the x's. And there you have it. You can prove it on Desmos. You can just type in your original equation. Type in your binomial factors. And if the graphs match, you know you got it right. And there's your answers. I hope this helps. This concludes our lesson in factoring trinomials, part 1.